Good day to you children. Welcome to your science class. As you all remember, in the previous class we were talking about force and various Newton's laws of motion. So, in the last class we discussed about first law of motion. We learned about the statement of first law and its significance, and along with that we also understood what is inertia and what were its different types. In today's class we will be learning about Newton's second law of motion, and before we go to the Newton's second law, we have to first understand one of the most important physical quantities which we use in physics, and that physical quantity is nothing but momentum. So, what is momentum? According to the definition, mathematically momentum is the product of mass and velocity of an object. So, suppose we know that every physical object has some mass, and if it is moving or when it is at rest, its velocity, we can measure its velocity. So, when we multiply the mass of an object with its velocity, the value which we get is known as momentum. And here momentum is denoted by small letter p. Momentum is always denoted by small letter p, and its mathematical formulation is p is equal to m into v, where m is mass of the object and v is the velocity possessed by that object, and p gives the value of momentum. And SI unit of momentum is kg meter per second. Kg is the SI unit of mass and meter per second is SI unit of velocity. So, multiplying them we get kg meter per second. So, here in the picture you can see an athlete is running on a track and then he jumps. So, what is happening here? He has some mass, and since he is running from a long distance, he has generated enough velocity, and thus he has enough momentum which pushes him off the ground and along the sand track. So, he can make a long jump there. So, physical meaning of momentum is momentum represents the total motion contained in a body. Total motion you can say, or even you can call it as total energy contained in the body. It represents total motion contained in the body. So, now the second law of motion is directly based on this physical quantity which we which we call as momentum. So, going to Newton's second law of motion, here you can see here a person is hitting the bell with a hammer. At first he applies little amount of force and the ball moves a little higher, like here. So, the ball moved little higher, and now he applies large amount of force, and see, you can see that the ball moved much higher. Its motion, it traveled a larger distance in a shorter amount of time. So, here you can see force, less motion, and more force, more motion. This is the direct consequence of second law of motion, which says the rate of change of momentum, that means the amount of motion that a body has. So, the rate of change of momentum of an object is proportional to the applied unbalanced force in the direction of force. So, how much force you apply, that is directly proportional to the rate of change of momentum. That is true, right? If you apply small amount of force, then the change in motion is small, or the velocity is small, or the acceleration you observe in that object is small. But when you apply large amount of force to an object, it depends on its mass and other factors how much amount of motion it has. That is the second law of motion. Here you can see two boys are playing in a park, and one of them is standing on top of a skateboard and the other person is pushing him. So, in the beginning he pushes the boy slowly, and due to the less amount of force he moves a shorter distance. His velocity is also small, but then the boy pushes him with a much larger amount of force, and due to that force you can see that the velocity of the boy increases. Here the mass remains constant. The mass of the boy is always constant, but since the force applied is changing, the amount of motion exhibited by the boy is also changing. When the force is less, the momentum is also less, but when the force is more, the momentum is more. As you can see, when he pushes harder, the boy moves faster and his motion is quicker. So, coming on examples on second law. Here, look here, this jeep has a larger mass. When you apply certain force F on this jeep, then the motion exhibited by this jeep will be smaller because it has large mass. Momentum is directly proportional to mass. So, obviously, if you apply some force on a large mass, then a small amount of force, large mass, less acceleration. Similarly, the same amount of force on a small mass, you can see larger motion, a great deal of motion is exhibited by the body. So, here another example, a metal ball is being kicked by a mechanical arm. You see the same arm, same amount of force, but mass is different, right. So, when the metal ball is kicked, you can see that its momentum is very small, the same amount of force, but when the light balloon is kicked, it flies away. So, momentum or the force applied is also dependent upon the mass of the object. So, thus force, momentum and mass of the object are all related to each other. Now, we will see this in our derivation of mathematical expression for force. In your last year, you learned that F is equal to mass into acceleration, and this year we will be deriving that expression. So, here consider a body with mass m moving with an initial velocity u in this right direction, in the right side. Now, a force F acts on that object for some time t. After time t, the same mass has changed its velocity. The velocity, initial velocity has changed to final velocity due to action of force. So, u changes to v on the same mass after time t. So, now consider a body of mass m moving with initial velocity u. An external unbalanced force F acts on the body for time t, which changes its velocity. Now, the final velocity of the body be v. So, the momentum of the body before the action of force, before the force acted, P1, we know that the momentum is denoted by P. So, P1 is equal to m into u. We know that mathematically momentum is mass into velocity. So, m into u. First, before acting of force, velocity was u. So, m into u. And the momentum after the action of force is P2 is equal to m into v. So, the change in momentum is P2 minus P1, which is equal to P2 minus P1 is mv minus mu, final momentum minus initial momentum. So, taking m common, we get m into bracket v minus u. So, now time rate of change of momentum or rate of change of momentum, as we know, it will be P2 minus P1 by t, because the force acted for the time of t. So, P2 minus P1 by t is equal to P2 minus P1, as we know it is m of v minus u. So, m of v minus u by t. This is equation 1. So, now we know that according to Newton's second law, we know that force is directly proportional to rate of change of momentum. Here this sign, this horizontal looking R sign is the proportionality sign. We say that force F is directly proportional to rate of change of momentum. So, expressing the same thing mathematically, we know that we calculated rate of change of momentum in the previous slide. From equation 1, we get force is directly proportional to P2 minus P1 by t, which is equal to m of v minus u by t. So, now moving ahead, that is F is, since both of these values are equal, I am neglecting the left hand side part, I am only keeping the right hand side part. We get force is directly proportional to m of v minus u by t. So, from we know that v minus u by t, from our motion chapter, we know that v minus u by t is nothing but acceleration, which is a. So, replacing v minus u by t by a, we get force is directly proportional to m into a. This is our second important equation. Now, since we know that it is not equal to here, it is proportional. What does direct proportional mean? Here if mass increases, if mass of the object increases, then force also increases. If acceleration increases, then force increases. If mass decreases, then force acting decreases. If acceleration decreases, then force decreases. That is the main meaning of direct proportionality. These are directly proportional to one another. If one of the quantities increases, then the other quantity also increases. If one of the quantity decreases, then the other quantity decreases. That is direct proportionality. So here force is directly proportional to mass into acceleration, but we want equal to sign there. So what we do, to remove this proportionality sign, we take something known as a proportionality constant. Adding the proportionality constant k, we get F is equal to K into MA. F is equal to KMA. So now taking K is equal to 1, set K is equal to 1, we finally get F is equal to MA. This is equation 3. This is the main expression for force, that is force is equal to mass into acceleration. So equation 3 gives the mathematical expression of force. And SI unit of force, as we know, it is Newton. It was given in the honor of Sir Isaac Newton, who did a major amount of work in terms of motion of everyday physical objects, and it is denoted by capital letter N. Now let us define Newton. What is 1 Newton force? Defining force or defining 1 Newton force. We know that force is equal to mass into acceleration. So since force is equal to mass into acceleration, if I have 1 Newton force, then that 1 Newton force will act on a body of 1 kilogram, and it will accelerate by 1 meter per second square. 1 into 1 we get 1. So we can define 1 Newton force as the force acting on a body of mass 1 kilogram moving with an acceleration of 1 meter per second square. In other terms, we can also define 1 Newton as it is the force acting on a body of mass 1 kilogram producing an acceleration of 1 meter per second square. Both definitions are same. Remember children, this is a very important definition. Defining units is one of the important concepts of physics. So here 1 Newton, once again I will repeat, 1 Newton force is defined as the force acting on a body of mass 1 kg moving with an acceleration of 1 meter per second square.
Now look at example 9.1. A constant force acts on an object of mass 5 kg for a duration of 2 seconds. It increases the object's velocity from 3 meter per second to 7 meter per second. Find the magnitude of the applied force. So the first part of the question is they are given change in velocity in some time. So here we have to first calculate the magnitude of the applied force on this object of mass 5 kilograms. Also the second part of the question says, now if the force was applied for a duration of 5 seconds, what would be the final velocity of the object? So here first for the given mass and the given velocities we have to calculate the force, and the next part the time is changed. In the first part the time is 2 seconds, in the second part the time is 5 seconds. So for 5 seconds, if the force was applied for 5 seconds, then what would be the change in the final velocity of the object? So here, now let us look at the solution. Example 9.1 solution. Given mass m, mass of the object is 5 kilograms, m is equal to 5 kg, t is equal to 2 seconds. This is the first part of the question. So m is 5 kilograms, t is 2 seconds, initial velocity is 3 meter per second, and final velocity v is 7 meter per second. So force is how much? We know that force is equal to mass into acceleration. Alright, we learned it through the derivation which we did. So force is equal to mass into acceleration. This implies force is equal to mass and acceleration in terms of velocities is v minus u divided by t. So now we get force is equal to 5 into v, the value of v is 7. 7 minus value of u is 3. 3 divided by 2. So this implies force is equal to 5 into 4 by 2. 2 ones are 2s are 5 2s are 10 Newton. Always remember to write the units. Unit of SI unit of force is 10 newtons. So the force applied on the body of 5 kilograms mass is 10 Newton. So now the second case for this question says that time is 5 seconds. Mass is same 5 kilograms. Initial velocity is also same, that is 3 meter per second. Our job is to find the value of final velocity. How much the velocity has increased or decreased. We have to determine that. So to do that, once again we know that force is equal to mass into acceleration. So this implies force is equal to, once again writing it in terms of velocity, v minus u by t, m into v minus u by t. So now here we don't know the value of force, so keep it as it is. Force is equal to m is 5 kilograms and we don't know the value of v minus u is 3 and time is 5 seconds. Now they have also told us that the force which was used in first case, that is 10 Newton, the same force has been applied to the object once again. So F is equal to 10 Newton. So now let us write that value. 10 is equal to 5 into v minus 3 by 5. 5 cancels each other. So we have 10 is equal to v minus 3, which is equal to v is equal to 13 meter per second. So our final velocity of the object when the same force is applied for a longer amount of time, we get that the final velocity changes to 13 meter per second. This is the answer. So we have to write our answers in sentences. The force applied was 10 Newton and the final velocity will be after 5 seconds. For 2 seconds it is 7 meter per second. So final velocity after 5 seconds is 13 meter per second. This is the solution for the first example given in your textbook. Now in the second example, which would require a greater force? Accelerating a 2 kilogram mass at 5 meter per second square or a 4 kilogram mass at 2 meter per second square. So here they have given you two objects which are accelerating at different accelerations. So here your job is to calculate force which is required to accelerate them at these different accelerations. It is a direct question. First calculate force for the first object, that is 2 into 5, that is 10 Newton, and the second force on second object will be 4 into 2, 8 Newtons. So from there you can easily determine which force is greater. The force acting on the first object is obviously greater. So this is your homework for the day. You have to solve this question in your on your own. So in the third example, a motor car is moving with a velocity of 108 km per hour and it takes 4 seconds to stop after the brakes are applied. You can see here the speed has been given, the speed or velocity has been given in different unit, that is kilometer per hour, whereas time has been given in seconds. So here you need to convert this 108 km per hour in terms of meter per second to solve this sum. That is the first step you have to take place here. So here the initial velocity of the car is 108 km per hour and the brakes are applied. That means the final velocity will be 0 for this car. And the brakes have been applied for the time period of 4 seconds. So calculate the force exerted by the brakes on the motor car if its mass along with the passengers is 1000 kilograms. So mass has been given, velocities and time have been given. Our job is to calculate force. The only thing is we have to convert this velocity in meter per second. So first let us write down given. The mass of the motor car along with the passengers is 1000 kilograms. The time taken for the application of brakes is 4 seconds. T is 4 seconds. Initial velocity of the car is 108 kilometers per hour, which on conversion we get 108 into 1000 divided by 60 into 60, because 1 hour has 60 minutes and 1 minute has 60 seconds. So divide by 60 into 60, and 1 kilometer is 1000 meters. So 0 0 0 0 cancels each other. We get 6 ones are 6 ones are 6 ones are 6, 48, 6 eights are 6 eights are, and similarly 6 ones are 3s are 3 tens are 30 meter per second. 30 meter per second is the initial velocity, and since the brakes have been applied, final velocity is 0 meter per second. So to calculate force applied on the car, we know that force is equal to mass into acceleration. But in terms of velocity, acceleration is v minus u by t. Final velocity minus initial velocity divided by time. So force will be equal to, this is equal to 1000. Final velocity is 0 minus 30 divided by 4. So 4 ones are 4 twos are 4 fives are 0s are 250 into minus 30, which is nothing but minus 7500 Newton. 0 minus 30 we get minus 30. That is why our force is our force has a negative sign, and this negative sign indicates that the force is acting in the opposite direction of the motion of the car. Now writing the result in proper sentences, the force acting on the car is 7500 Newton against its motion. Since we are applying brakes, we are restricting the motion of the vehicle. That is why force has a negative sign to it. In example 9.4, a force of 5 Newton gives a mass m1 and acceleration of 10 meter per second square, and a mass m2 and acceleration of 20 meter per second square. What acceleration would it give if both the masses were tied together? So in this question, example 9.4, we have two masses m1 and m2, and the force acting on both these masses is 5 Newton. When this force 5 Newton acts on mass m1, the acceleration produced is 10 meter per second square. Similarly, when the same force acts on the mass m2, then the acceleration produced is a2 is equal to 20 meter per second square. Our job here is to calculate the acceleration produced when we tie both these masses together. We need to find acceleration when both the masses have been tied together. So to do that, first let us calculate the value of these individual masses. First let us find the values of m1 and m2. So solution, we know that force is equal to mass into acceleration. So for first case, force is 5 Newton, mass is m1, and acceleration produced for m1 is a1, that is 10 meter per second square. So 5 is equal to m1 into 10. Similarly, the same force 5 Newton acts on the object of mass m2 and produces an acceleration of 20 meter per second square. So 5 is equal to m into 20, m2 into 20. Now to find m1 and m2. Here transposing, since it has been multiplied, on transposing it to the left hand side, it will be divided. So 5 by 10 is equal to m1, and similarly 5 by 20 is equal to m2. So 5 ones are 5 twos are 5 ones are 5 fours are. So the first mass is 1 by 2, that is 0.5 kilograms. That is the value of m1. And the second mass 1 by 4, that is 0.25 kilograms. That is the value of m2. So now when we tie these masses together, their masses will add up. So therefore m1 plus m2 is equal to 0.5 plus 0.25, which is equal to 0.75 kilograms. So our new mass m is equal to m1 plus m2, which is equal to sum of both the masses, which is 0.75 kilograms. Again, the force acting on this will be 5 Newton. So what is the acceleration produced? So to find the acceleration, all we have to do is F is equal to m into A. F is 5 Newton, m is 0.75 kilograms, and acceleration is A. So on transposing and dividing, we get the value of acceleration to be equal to A is equal to 6.67 meter per second square. This is the required value of acceleration. Therefore, when both masses are combined, they accelerate at 6.67 meter per second square. This is the required solution. So in example 9.5, they have given us a VT graph or velocity time graph of a ball of mass 20 grams moving along a straight line on a long table. So here we have a ball, the VT graph of a ball which is moving along a table. You can see that velocity of that ball goes on decreasing with time. This happens because of the frictional force provided by the table, which will gradually stop the ball. So here the mass of the ball is 20 grams, which in SI units, that is kilograms, is 0.02 kilograms. So now here you can see that initially at the start of the time at 0 seconds, the initial velocity of the ball was 20 meter per second. But at the end of the journey, the final velocity of the ball is 0 meter per second. And for the velocity to decrease from 20 to 0, the time taken was 10 seconds. So we have our initial velocity, we have our final velocity, we also have the time taken. We can easily determine the acceleration of the ball. And after we find acceleration, they have given us the mass, we can easily calculate the force acting on the ball, which is the question. How much force does the table exert on the ball to bring it to rest? So to calculate force, first let us find the value of the acceleration of the ball. In example 9.5 solution, first let us write down given from VT plot, initial velocity u is 20 centimeter per second. The velocity has been given in the units of centimeter per second. We have to convert it into meter per second. The final velocity of the ball will be 0 centimeter per second or 0 meter per second, one and the same. So here to convert centimeter into meter, we divide it by 100. So we get 0.2 meter per second. And the time taken by the ball to decrease its velocity to 0 is 10 seconds. So acceleration of the ball will be A is equal to V minus U by T. So this is equal to V is 0 minus 0 centimeter per second is nothing but 0 meter per second. So V is 0 minus U is 2 meter per second. 0.2 divided by 10. So on simplification we get minus 0 minus 0.2 minus 0.2 divided by 10. 0.02 meter per second square. This is the acceleration which the ball experiences. Acceleration, since it is negative, it is decreasing. We also know it as deceleration. So now the force, to calculate force, we know that mass of the ball is 20 grams, which in kilograms is 0.02 kilograms divided by 1000. So we know mass is 0.02 kilograms and acceleration is minus 0.02 meter per second square. Then the force acting on the ball is F is equal to M into A, which is equal to 0.02 into minus 0.02. Minus into plus minus 0.0004. This is the Newton. This is the value of the force acting on the ball which is rolling on top of a table. And here also the negative sign indicates that the force is acting in the opposite direction of the motion of the ball.